Hello world, Mr. Resistor here, continuing our temporarily Omega journey. And rumor has it, we've got some gifts in the New Eden store. And indeed we do. Almost forgot to collect my free skill points, because I'm Omega. And of course our login rewards. Macariel, nice. Macariel is one of the ships that I long ago really wanted to fly and put a lot of effort on my original character into being able to fly and just never actually got one. So let's see. Fireworks and Plex dice. Okay, we don't have any boosters going, so I think I've got, right, 2 more brain freeze. Consume one of those. 39 hours roughly. So basically 2 days. And what's going on today? So we'll do these for sure, because that's quick. Maybe we'll do a mining mission. Um, but the plan for today is do our scans real quick, and then we'll go pick up our planetary industry goods. Hmm. Interesting that we're ending up with extra ionic solutions. So that means the amount we're extracting exceeds the speed at which we're able to process it, right? And that's the same here for our suspended plasma, microorganisms, etc. Looks like we've actually got that problem in a few places. Kind of a couple ways we could go about that. Dealing with that could change our setup, so maybe we've got a few less extractors for those things if we've got fitting space. I don't know if it's power or CPU that's limiting us. Like, But whatever. Like, uh, we could put an extra production unit on there just to clear those up. I don't know. Or we can just sell them, which is most likely what I'm going to do. Um, anyway, let's go do our scanning first.
Warp drive active.
No extension yet. I think that's coming after New Year's, which, as of recording, this is the day before New Year's Eve, so um, probably next week we'll get the extension.
Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Faith. That's what we need. Just make sure we're not already full of whatever.
Active. Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Warp drive active.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Alright, well, we'll go back to that one. Alright, so the reason why I'm basically just taking everything is that these are set up to be self-contained, right? We're mining 2 items, we're extracting 2 items, we're processing those into their tier 1 things, and then combining those into whatever those 2 items have to happen to make, right? And we set up each of those to do that, so there's nothing that we have to import to the planet for any of these. All right, and I forgot to grab these out of the thing.
Active.
Right, so there's nothing left over, or there's nothing that we have to import. And anything that ends up in our storage, um, anything that ends up in our storage is either our end product or it's surplus materials, right? But in either case, that's stuff we can sell.
Warp drive active.
Now, the downside, of course, is we got to pay the tariffs. Ooh, we might run out of space. Okay. So let's go ahead and dock up. Drop these off, and then we'll go get our rocket fuel. Now, I do find it interesting what we're ending up with extra of. Um, obviously, we're pretty aggressive on our extraction. Um, so I guess it shouldn't be a surprise that we're ending up with extra, stuff. But, I guess I just don't expect. Um, I don't expect that level of production, you know?
Warp drive active.
And to be fair, like I can see situations where the T0 um, materials might be useful. Um, if you're someone who doesn't mind like micromanaging production to a certain extent, then like I could see a use for importing those, making all the stuff that you need in order to produce some higher tier item. You know, it seems like a bit of a pain though, to be honest.
Warp drive active.
Too much work for me. I find, and probably with some planning, um, you know, I could handle this, but I find often, especially when I'm making tier 2 ships or modules or whatever, I will. I'll put all the precursors into production, and then the next day I come back and I collect all those, and I'm like, what was I making? Like, Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an organized enough person to really be a good industrialist. And it's not that I don't know what's required to do that. I just don't have the patience for it in my spare time, you know?
Warp drive active.
Or I should say, I don't have patience for the overhead of planning.
Warp drive active.
Honestly, I think that's one thing that I really actually appreciate about um, them adding the daily tasks. In addition to the rewards, right? The skill points, as I've often said, I think skill points are the real currency of Eve.
Warp drive active.
Um, but in some ways, I really appreciate just logging into the game, checking the list, and going, okay, what am I doing today? You know, there's a certain amount of, especially when I'm working, there's just a certain amount of like being able to
Docking
turn my
permission
brain off and
requested.
just go,
Docking
okay,
request accepted.
this is what we're doing today. That's the downside of being a knowledge worker, I guess. All right, so okay. For a second, I thought those were the same thing, but they are slightly different. Selecting all those. Is there anything else we particularly want to? Yes, these. Anything else? These. We'll deal with blueprints another time. Okay. using G to run to get an appraisal, and it is taking a minute. Right. So 124 million, basically. Not bad. All right. Who? Well, I guess it's called Dari Rep. Oh, actually, hmm. Maybe we actually need Minmatar. Get back above 5 so that the epic arc opens up for us. Yeah, I think let's do that. So Minmatar, mining agent.
Warp drive active. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted. Warp drive active.
It was nearly instant. Literally one cycle to complete the daily. So, one thing I've noticed is they do seem to have increased the number of rats uh, on mining missions. I mean, we've only seen two so far, which is uh, back in the day when I was running a lot of L3 and L4 mining missions on one of my other characters. You could expect to see two rats in mining missions of those level. Lately, I've seen more than that. I would not be surprised if we had another group jump in on us up to 5. Um, we'll see.
The asteroid is depleted.
These are very much doable in the Pioneer. Um, Especially, I tend to go for a tankier fit. Ooh. Well, that's snazzy. I do. I do like the default skins on these. I'll say that. Um, that caterpillar yellow. Um, as the son of a general contractor, lot of lot of happy tractor memories there.
The asteroid is depleted.
Anyway, as I was saying, I tend to go for a tanky fit. Ooh, and speaking of which, I need to swap one of these out for a survey chip. So in this case, I'll be removing the small shield extender, replacing that with a survey chip, keeping the medium shield extender. Got the thermal and EM enforcers to give us better resistance. And you might not need this if you're actually, we might not need that once we swap that out. I don't know. We'll see. But
The asteroid is depleted.
EM resist for sure. Often I'll do thermal resist also. And go one level up for a shield extender. And that gives a decently tanky fit. I mean, 1200 EH or 12,000 EHP. Oh, and the damage control instead of 2 mining laser upgrades. Right? Fitting tanky like this, the missions are going to take slightly longer, but even if you get into one that's got a bunch of rats in it, right? And we've seen ones where we're looking at 5 to 8 rats at one time. Even those are not going to be enough to overwhelm you.
The asteroid is depleted.
Is it going to save you from getting ganked? No. um, but as I often say, the best defense against getting ganked in high sec,
The asteroid
just
is depleted.
don't be near Jita. You know, if you're more than like if you're more than like 3 jumps away from Jita, you don't really have to worry about getting ganked anywhere near as much.
Warp drive active.
If you are living near Jita, and I mean, there's reasons to, then maybe be a little more cautious. Um, and I don't know, someone other than me
Docking permission requested.
is the one to do
Docking
that
request
math. It might
accepted.
make financial sense to remain near Jita, um, deal with the increased risk of getting ganked in exchange for having access to that market. I don't know. For myself, I prefer to avoid the ganking, and I'm willing to take a hit on my income in exchange for that.
Warp drive active.
Oh, interesting. Thermal and electrical incoming. Really glad I put in those rigs. My drones do not seem to be coordinating their fire at all. I suppose I could do a better job of managing them. So with the tankiness of this fit, nothing to worry about. Even with alpha skills.
Warp drive active.
What do we need? 15,000. Okay.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
I would normally do these in either an endurance or maybe a barge or an exhumer, so
Warp drive active.
not sure if there still is, but there used to be a L4 mining mission where you had to gather, I forget, it was like 48,000 M cubed of something, which is more than even the Mac can hold. So that was the ship I normally used to do L4 mining missions back in the day. I do really appreciate um, how the Pioneer, the existence of the Pioneer, really alters the landscape of mining. Um, I think it's going to make a big difference in terms of how mining's perceived as an activity, especially for um,
The asteroid is depleted.
less experienced players and alpha players.
Warp drive active.
I'm interested to see long term how that all plays out.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
It's good for today. Let's head back and do that refit before we forget.
Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Warp drive active. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Starting to accumulate enough ships that it's becoming inconvenient. Right. Do I have? I don't. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to acquire some stuff for my Perseverance fit anyway. So, yeah, I'll figure that out. But I think that's gonna be it for me for today. So until next time, have a good one.